Covering House is a place of refuge and restoration for girls who have experienced sexual trafficking or sexual exploitation. And here to talk about their mission is Deidre Lhamon, Executive Director, and Laura Farrar, the Manager of Partnership Development for the Covering House. So welcome, and thank you for coming. This is an important topic. It's one that's really, we're hearing a lot more about in St. Louis. So tell us, Deidre, you started the organization in 2009?
Yes. Yeah, we got our nonprofit status in 2009, but about a year prior to that, I was watching a program on television, a documentary about sex trafficking of children abroad, and they were talking about what was going on in Cambodia and Thailand, and then they switched focuses and they started talking about trafficking in the United States. And at the time, my background's in communication, and so I was doing some training and consulting work, but it was something that just hit me hard and pierced my heart because I have two daughters, and I just needed to know more about this issue. And so I took an entire year on my own just to research this problem.
And what did you find about it relative to our community right here, St. Louis? Did you find specifics?
Absolutely. We, first of all, on average, they think that there's about 300,000 children in the United States that are trafficked every year. And St. Louis itself is a hub for this particular issue. In fact, it is in the top 20 cities in the country for trafficking.
So you started the Covering House, which is actually a house, right? A safe house?
We do have a home, and but even before the home, we called ourselves the Covering House because we knew down the road we would get a home. But we started without client services at first.
Okay, so what did you start out doing?
We started providing counseling and group therapy, life skills, some tutoring to girls who maybe aren't in need of an actual home and were still functioning in their home fairly successfully but had this trauma. And so they came to us, or they come to us even yet today, for our client programming. And so they still live at home, still functioning in the community, going to church, going to school, in the playgrounds, that type of thing, but had this trauma. And
so these are little girls.
The youngest we've had is 12, and the average age in the United States is 13 for trafficking.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Laura, you have also you have special interest in this as well, like Deidre.
Yes.
And you learned about it you were in Phoenix?
Yeah, so I am native to St. Louis, grew up here, born and raised, and then I actually went out kind of on a limb to Phoenix, Arizona, and got connected with an agency out there and first learned about the issue. And then I remember coming back after my stay over there was over and thinking, how do I know about this issue and not act? You know, knowing about it and not doing anything is compliance to an extent. And so I met Deidre and instantly fell in love with her and the mission that was important to her heart. And really, Deidre just gave me the opportunity to come on and volunteer. And so I volunteered for probably about 6 or 7 months and worked a couple of part-time jobs here and there, and then became officially a part of the staff in 2013. So.
And have you found, probably even since 2013, which was just a year ago, have the needs of your organization and the mission changed? Is our community changing in a way that we need your organization more?
Absolutely. One of the things, so when I was in Phoenix and first learned about the issue, nobody really understood that it was a problem. And so I feel like what has happened, even when I came back and was here in St. Louis, you know, we would go and talk about this issue with really anybody that would listen to us.
Right.
Because, and even when you went and you educated the community, they all kind of had this just lack of education.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so when you really look into that and decide, okay, how can we really fight it? We have to be able to prevent it too.
Yeah, so this issue hits home for you all personally, but your organization's grown. And Laura, one of the things that you're doing now is to get the word out, and you're doing lots of community events to raise money for the organization, all the things that you all are putting together. So give us a little tease on some of the events that we're going to be talking about in the next segment.
Right, well, there's lots of different stuff going on at the Covering House. We try to really connect the community, and so we have our Cover 13 campaign, which is really centered around the 13th Amendment and how slavery was abolished, but yet it's still happening. And so that's a program for people that can get involved in a tangible way. We also have our Race for Refuge event, which is one of our most fun events. We have about 400 racers that come out to the Tower Grove Park and just join with us in advocating for the girls that we work with. And then we do have an exciting event with the St. Louis Cardinals coming up in July that we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about that and meet one of the Cardinals' wives in our next segment. So that's a little teaser. Stay tuned because we've got obviously much more with the Covering House. And we're going to be joined by Cardinal wife Ashley Kelly after this break. So thank you both, and we'll be continuing in just a few minutes.